The crime rate of United States of America had skyrocketed to such high levels in the second half of 20th century that Bill Clinton, who was the president of United States at that time, said this, and I quote, "We know we've got about 6 years to turn this juvenile crime thing around, or our country is going to be living with chaos." These lines were said in 1995. Violent crime was a constant thing at that time, and the situation was about to get even worse. After all the experts were saying so. In 1995, criminologist James Allen Fox wrote a report for the US Attorney General that forecasted the coming spike in murders by teenagers. Fox proposed optimistic and pessimistic scenarios. In the optimistic scenario, the rate of teen homicides would rise another 15% over the next decade. In the pessimistic scenario, it would more than double. But in reality, something completely opposite happened. Instead of going up, crime rates began to fall. The crime drop was surprising in several respects, with every category of crime falling in every part of the country. It was persistent, with incremental decreases year after year. And it was entirely unanticipated, especially by the very experts who had been predicting the opposite. The teenage murder rate, instead of rising 100% or even 15% as Fox had warned, fell more than 50% within 5 years. By 2000, the overall murder rate in the United States had dropped to its lowest level in 35 years. Then came in the explanations by the government. According to them, it was the roaring 1990s economy that helped to reduce crime. It was the proliferation of gun control laws. Around 7 new laws were passed in a span of 10 to 11 years. The third reason was the innovative policing strategies put into place. These theories were not only logical, they were also encouraging. These theories made their way without any friction from the experts' mouths to journalists' ears to the public's mind. In short course, they became conventional wisdom. There was only one problem. These theories were not true. There was another factor that had greatly contributed to the massive crime drop in the 1990s. It had taken shape more than 20 years earlier, in 1970. A young woman in Texas named Norma McCorvey was responsible for this. Like the proverbial butterfly that flaps its wing on one continent and eventually causes a hurricane on another, Norma McCorvey dramatically altered the course of events without intending to. All she had wanted was an abortion. She was a poor, uneducated, unskilled, alcoholic, drug using 21-year-old woman who had already given up 2 children for adoption and now, in 1970, found herself pregnant again. But in Texas, as in almost all the states at that time, abortion was illegal. McCorvey fought the case against Henry Waite, who was the defendant. The case ultimately made it to the US Supreme Court, by which time McCorvey's name had been disguised as Jane Roe. This case was famously known as Roe vs. Wade. On January 22, 1973, the court ruled in favor of Roe, allowing legalized abortion throughout the United States. By this time, of course, it was far too late for Miss McCorvey to have her abortion. She had given birth and put the child up for adoption. So, how did Roe vs. Wade help trigger the greatest crime drop in recorded history? As far as crime is concerned, it turns out that not all children are born equal, not even close. Decades of studies have shown that a child born into an adverse family environment is far more likely to become a criminal when compared to other children. There were millions of women who had their abortions after the Roe Wade judgment. They were women who were poor, unmarried, and teenage mothers for whom illegal abortions had been too expensive or too hard to get. They were the very women whose children, if born, would have been much more likely than average to become criminals. But because of Roe vs. Wade, these children were never born. This powerful cause had a drastic and distant effect. Years later, since these unborn children never entered the criminal prime age, the rate of crime began to go down. It wasn't gun control or a strong economy or a new police strategy that blunted the American crime wave. It was a reality that the pool of potential criminals that never took birth. John Donoghue and Stephen Levitt published a research where they presented evidence that legalization of abortion in the early 1970s played an important role in the crime drop of the 1990s. They estimate that the cumulative impact of legalized abortion on crime is roughly 50%. This paper is available freely on Google. I will also share the link of this paper in the description below in case you want to deep dive into the methodology. Thank you for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day.